Welcome back, everyone, to our channel, where stories don't just unfold, they resonate deeply. If you value empathy, justice, and unfiltered truth, you've found your place. They say time mends all wounds, but what happens when those wounds are torn open repeatedly, in quiet, everyday moments most overlook? Racism isn't always bold and blatant. It doesn't always roar through overt acts or vicious words. Sometimes, it creeps in through subtle glances, avoidance, or missed chances. Some argue, things have improved, why keep dwelling on racism? Others counter, its hidden nature makes it even more insidious today. What's your take? Before we dive into this powerful story, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support amplifies authentic voices, raw truths, and real conversations. Every click matters, and every story counts. Let's get started.
How threatening can a man seem, armed only with a cane and 70 years of life's weight? He wasn't stealing or causing a scene. He was simply strolling. Yet sometimes, that's enough to spark a badge, a bias, and a moment that shifts everything. It was a scorching Thursday afternoon in Atlanta, where the pavement glowed, the air hung heavy, and time itself seemed to crawl. William Harris, a retired veteran, grandfather of 4, and cherished community volunteer, adjusted his cap as he left the downtown community center. He'd just attended a luncheon celebrating Black veterans, a gathering filled with warm handshakes, shared laughter, and promises to reconnect next year. Clutching a worn cane in his left hand and checking his pocket for car keys with his right, William ambled across the sidewalk toward the parking lot across the street. He wasn't hurried. At 70, he'd learned the world rushed enough without him. But someone was watching, misjudging every step. Officer James Carter, a rookie fresh from the academy, all sharp edges and protocol, was on his first solo patrol in the business district. His orders were clear. Watch for suspicious behavior near parked cars. Spotting an elderly black man moving slowly between vehicles, glancing side to side toward a blue sedan, James's instincts fired. Not reason, but something else. An instinct that skips questions and leaps to assumptions. He radioed softly. Possible code 6, suspected car prowler. Unaware of the scrutiny, William paused by his own car, fishing out his jingling keys. At that moment, James's voice cut through the lot. "Sir, step back from the vehicle." William turned, puzzled. "Excuse me." James approached quickly, hand near his belt. "I said, step back. That car isn't yours, is it?" William frowned. "It is. I've owned it for a decade. Show me your license and registration. Now." William reached for his wallet, hands trembling, not from guilt, but from age, the same reason he needed a cane. James misread the pause, hands where I can see them. Nearby, a few passers-by slowed. Someone across the street raised their phone, filming. William spoke calmly. "Officer, I was at the veterans' luncheon. Ask anyone inside." "That's not what I asked," James snapped. "You're lingering in a high theft zone. This is routine. Don't complicate it." William stopped reaching, not out of fear, but from a deeper knowing, a familiarity born of 7 decades in America, aware of how these moments can spiral. "Son," he said softly, "I'm just heading to my car." "That's it." James's grip tightened on his holster. "Don't call me son." William nodded, eyes dropping. "All right." The air grew thick, stifling the street sounds. A cane, a key, a badge, a misstep. But it wasn't just a misstep. It was something older, rooted not in actions but in appearances. William stood as straight as his age allowed. "Are you sure you want to take this path, officer?" he asked. James didn't respond verbally, but his next move would speak volumes. As the camera rolled across the street, the real story was just beginning. How fast does authority morph into aggression, especially when faced with calm instead of chaos? William Harris stood still, right hand empty, his car keys glinting on the ground, dropped when Officer James Carter's sharp command startled him. He hadn't moved suddenly or raised his voice, but that didn't seem to matter. James's hand now rested firmly on his holstered taser, not his gun, not yet, but enough to signal, "I view you as a threat." "Sir, step away from the vehicle now," James repeated, his words louder, clipped. Authority was clear, but something fragile laced his tone. William raised his hand slowly. "This is my car. Plates are in my name. Check them." James held his stance. "You hesitated when I asked for ID. Why?" William paused. "I'm 70, son. My hands don't move like they used to." Calling him son again made James bristle, though not visibly. The word should have carried respect, but to him, it felt like a challenge, as if this elderly man was flipping the script. "Turn around," James ordered. "What?" William blinked. "Turn around? What's happening, officer?" More people were watching now. 2 teens across the street, a woman frozen with her grocery bag, a man in a suit filming discreetly from the lot's edge. "Turn around, hands behind your back. You're detained." The words landed like ice water. William stood still, caught in a silence heavy with disbelief and dread. "For what?" he asked softly. James stepped closer. Suspicion of attempted car theft, non-compliance. William let out a dry, disbelieving chuckle. Not amusement, but the kind that says, "I've been here before, and I can't believe it's happening again." 70 years, he muttered. A veteran's medal in the morning, handcuffs by afternoon. "Turn around," James barked. Slowly, painfully, William complied. His cane clattered to the pavement. When James grabbed his arm, the air shifted. A murmur from the crowd, muscles tensing, strangers holding their breath as a line was crossed. William winced, but didn't resist. "Easy," he said. "Arthritis doesn't follow orders." James hesitated, his grip loosening briefly, doubt creeping in. But pride often overrides reason, and with trained precision, he cuffed William's wrists. Phones multiplied. 5, maybe 6, recording. "Hey man," a voice shouted from across the lot. "He didn't do anything! That's his car!" James's jaw tightened. "Back off. Police matter." Then a clear, steady voice sliced through the tension from behind the crowd. "That man is my father." Heads turned. A tall man in his 40s, in a sharp gray suit, stepped forward from the sidewalk, raising a hand with calm authority. "I'm Michael Harris, Deputy Director of Internal Affairs, Atlanta Police Department." Silence fell. Even James paled slightly. William, still cuffed and facing away, turned his head as best he could. "Michael." Michael nodded once, then fixed his gaze on James. "Officer Carter, why is my father handcuffed by his own car?" James's mouth opened, then shut. He glanced at the phones, the crowd, the name. I thought it was a possible theft," he stammered. Michael's tone stayed level. "Did you ask for his ID?" James faltered. "He has arthritis," Michael cut in. "Did you check the car's registration? Ask anyone if they saw a crime?" James was silent. Michael stepped closer. "Want to know how I knew? My father texted me 10 minutes ago. Said an officer was circling him in the lot. He didn't want trouble, just to go home. I told him to wait for me." Michael looked at his father, still dignified despite the cuffs. "He waited. You didn't." No one moved for a long moment. Then Michael addressed the crowd. "Stop filming, but keep the footage. This matters. Not just for my father or me, but for everyone who's ever asked to be seen, not judged." To James, he said, "Uncuff him." James's hands shook as he complied, the cuffs clicking free. William turned, shoulders stiff, face unreadable. Michael helped him retrieve his cane. "Let's go home, Pop," he said softly. But before leaving, William faced James, not with anger, but with a chilling disappointment. "I've seen a lot, officer. Protests, segregation, crackdowns. The scariest thing is young men like you repeating mistakes we bled to fix." He didn't wait for a reply. As father and son walked off, James stood frozen, his badge suddenly heavier. The lot wasn't just quiet. It was watching, as if something had shifted, perhaps even in him. Hands trembling, sweat beading, not just from George's heat, but from a colder realization. He'd lost control of a moment he thought he owned. A rookie, a revered elder, a deputy director as witness. But it wasn't Michael's title that shook him. It was William's gaze, not angry, not scornful, just deeply, humanly disappointed, the kind that lingers. Then soft applause broke the silence. One man, then a woman, not mocking, not celebrating, but acknowledging. They clapped because someone had finally spoken truth aloud, fearlessly. Michael turned to the crowd. "We don't need revenge. We need accountability, starting with questioning why we're taught to see calm black elders as threats." William gave his son a quiet nod. James's eyes dropped, his chest tight. His badge felt both heavy and fragile. As the Harrises reached the lot's edge, that badge no longer seemed a symbol of order. It was a question, one that demanded answers and couldn't be ignored. What happens when truth stands bold, undeniable, and filmed? One man's restraint, one son's arrival, one badge's hasty judgment. And now the world was watching. By nightfall, the footage spread, phones to newsrooms to national screens. Multiple angles captured it all. An elderly black man questioned, then cuffed, his cane hitting the pavement as handcuffs overrode sense, the crowd's unease, and the piercing moment a suited man stepped in, voice firm. "That man is my father." It wasn't just a clash, it was a reckoning, raw and real time. In Savannah, William Harris sat on his modest brick home's porch, where he'd lived for 40 years. The evening was still, his cane by his side, the day's weight lingering in the humid air. Michael sat beside him, jacket off, sleeves rolled, grappling with the day's magnitude. Reporters called, council members sought statements, neighbors brought food and flowers. But William craved quiet. "I didn't want this," he said, staring at the street. "I know, Dad," Michael said gently. "I just wanted my car." Michael touched his father's knee. "You did, but someone decided you couldn't." William exhaled, his breath carrying decades of resilience. Same story, new day. Across town, Officer James Carter sat alone in his dark apartment, TV muted, badge on the counter. The video replayed in his mind, not the public's view, but his own. The doubt in his voice, the tightening in his chest, the choice that became a glaring error. He hadn't expected the backlash or the guilt. "I thought I was doing my job," he whispered to the void. But deep down, he knew he wasn't. That Sunday, churches across Georgia shifted sermons. Pastors wove scripture with modern weight. "What's loving thy neighbor," one asked, "if we fear them for existing?" In schools, barbershops, stores, and homes, talks ignited. William Harris became an unavoidable figure, not for shouting or fighting, but for enduring. His dignity spoke loudest. A vigil formed outside the community center the next night. Signs bore hope, not hate. "Protect our elders. We stand with William. Walks don't deserve handcuffs." Michael guided his father to the steps, William's cane steady, his spirit unbroken. A woman at the mic, voice shaking but clear, said, He showed us power isn't always loud. It's standing tall when you could crumble. As candles glowed, Michael saw it. William wasn't just his father. He was every elder diminished for existing in the wrong skin, place, or time. Unasked for, William stood in the spotlight. Quiet, composed, unforgettable. I hope they remember why this happened. Not just the news, he murmured. Michael nodded. They will, Dad. Change starts when eyes open, voices rise, and truth won't be silenced. William didn't just walk into a lot that day. He walked into history. Within 72 hours, the story hit national TV. CNN ran it as a veteran, a Kane, a question of bias. MSNBC dubbed it the Harris encounter, where authority met assumption. Even ESPN tied it to issues faced by black athletes' families. William's image, poised beside his son under a fading sky, spread widely. Not a tragedy, but a beacon of restraint, grace, and dignity against a system trying to break trust. City Hall buzzed with urgent meetings. Police held press conferences, balancing apologies with control. The mayor ordered a review of senior-related police encounters. The oversight board called a special hearing. One man, one mistake, seen globally, shook Atlanta. At home, William stayed quiet, not withdrawn but calm, as elders often are after seeing too much. He didn't need words to hold power. Michael navigated the spotlight, not chasing it, but responding. As deputy director, he'd balanced reform and badge respect, but now it was personal. On Good Morning America, the host asked, "Your father stayed calm, never resisted, yet was cuffed. Why?" Michael replied, "To some, calm isn't safe. A black man's silence feels like defiance." The clip exploded. Not an attack, but a mirror America couldn't ignore. While officials debated policy, communities talked, block by block, church to church, home to home. They shared not just William's story, but their own. An 83-year-old in Birmingham recalled a 1981 incident. An Oakland woman launched Stories Our Elders Carry. Detroit students staged The Man with the Cane. Unplanned, uncoordinated, but real. It grew. At the precinct, James Carter was on leave, not shamed publicly, but for reflection and retraining. The silence hurt more than suspension. Colleagues didn't mock or attack, but distanced him. He was a reminder of error meeting unchecked fear and pride. In his department's new empathy and justice program, he sat quietly at first. Then, a retired black officer, Clara Dean, with 30 years' service, spoke. Choosing assumption over inquiry isn't just a mistake. It's saying, "I've already decided who you are." That's not policing. It's ego. James looked down, knowing she meant him. That night, he wrote a letter to himself, ending with, "I want to be better." Slowly. William's porch became a hub. Neighbors visited, young men brought groceries, pastors talked or just nodded. Each visit left care. His body slowed, but his presence grew. One day, Michael shared news. "The mayor wants you at the Healing Summit." No pressure. William smiled. "A speech?" "Your story." William chuckled. "Walking to my car, a civil rights message?" Michael softened. "It's a message because you didn't let hate win." William looked at the street. "I'll go," he said. "Not to speak, but to tell the truth." That raw truth would echo in a city striving to change, as the Harrises prepared not for fame, but legacy. They said it'd fade. People forget. Outrage dims. They were wrong. A parking lot moment grew beyond William, touching every elder dismissed, every slow step misread, every voice ignored. Beyond Savannah, Chicago, Oakland, Portland, elders spoke at town halls. Quiet injustices once whispered rang out. They trailed me in stores every time. My friend was stopped for wearing a suit to church. My mother keeps her 1963 bus pass, denied. Clear, steady, undeniable. William got letters daily, from strangers, veterans, kids, ex-cops. A retired New York chief wrote, "Your story hit me." I made a similar mistake in 1982, unrecorded. I've carried it. You didn't deserve this, but your grace made us face what we've ignored. Richard L. Myers. William tucked it in his cigar box with his medals, silent but moved. The city council passed the Harris Principle, a training program for respectful policing, listening, and age sensitivity. A real reform. Michael spoke at the press conference, not of systems, but porch steps. My father taught me quietly, fixing faucets, speaking fearlessly, staying still when the world pushes. He paused. That lot could have ended in shame or worse, but my father chose dignity. The room hushed, heavy with meaning. James attended mandatory counseling, initially silent. In week 3, he spoke. I saw a profile, not a man. A problem, not a person. That wasn't training. It was me. The facilitator asked, "Now that you see it?" James looked at his hands. "I have to unlearn it." He requested a private meeting with William. They met on the porch, Michael nearby. Amid cicadas, James said, "I don't expect forgiveness." William replied, "I don't know if I can, but I'll listen." They spoke of fear, pressure, assumptions. No defenses, no punishment. Just a start. As James left, William said, "Show up for the right reasons." James nodded. The ripple became a wave, reshaping the shore. Some stories echo, not end. Dignity sparks momentum. Legacy. Morning light filtered through sycamores on William Street, quiet with promise. The headlines faded, but the impact grew. William rose slowly, deliberately, as if every move mattered. Down the block, a community gathered, not in protest or grief, but honor. With William's quiet consent, the city unveiled a plaque outside the community center. William Harris Way, for dignity, resilience, and the right to walk free. Michael stood by, proud yet humble. James, out of uniform, watched from the crowd, not to be seen, but to witness. A 5th grader asked, "Is he the man who stood up without yelling?" Her teacher nodded. "Yes, and that's why people listened." William smiled later. He didn't need volume, just presence. At the podium, voices shared. A mother now bolder with her kids. An elder admitting siren fears. A teen less afraid of aging black in public. William, seated, cane in hand, hadn't sought change, but unlocked it. When he spoke, he stayed seated. You don't need to shout to shake a system. Just stand until truth catches up. Silence fell. Then gentle clapping spread. Not for a speech, but a life lived. Michael handed William an envelope, an email from the University of Georgia. "We'd be honored to award you an honorary doctorate in leadership and resilience. Your life teaches us. Dr. Elena Price." William raised an eyebrow. "You did this," Michael grinned. "You did, Dad, by walking to your car." They laughed. That evening, William returned to the lot where his cane fell, where assumptions tried to steal his dignity. No lights, no conflict, just a man and a memory. James approached, silent, then spoke. "You deserved every word today." William shrugged. "I didn't do much." "More than most," James said. William extended his hand. James took it. Not forgiveness, but a step. Healing isn't headlines. It's 2 men in a quiet lot, facing damage, choosing repair. William's walk wasn't just a moment. It was history. William Harris, 70, walked to his car, cane in hand, keys ready, nothing hidden. Yet suspicion found him. A young officer, quick to judge, slow to hear, acted on bias, not fact. This isn't just their story, it's ours. about how assumptions twist interactions, silence fuels harm, and misused power strips dignity from the gentle. William didn't shout or fight. His quiet resistance, rooted in truth, was mighty. It held a mirror to America, showing not chaos, but daily indignities endured. Outrage is easy, empathy is hard. William's story didn't just stir anger, it sparked reflection. People weren't shocked. They were heartbroken. It still happens. They saw their family in William and asked, how many more will be threats for existing? James's error wasn't just procedural, it was moral. Yet he paused, reflected, felt the weight. That doesn't erase pain, but shows growth. Accountability can mean change, raw, uneasy change. William didn't seek heroism, but his calm gave others voice, to protest, teach, reform. Communities united, not in rage, but purpose, creating art, vigils, long-avoided talks. They acted. Justice isn't just courts, it's how we treat each other off camera. Dignity isn't granted, it's inherent. Respect shouldn't demand perfection. A slow walk with a cane shouldn't feel dangerous. William's stillness exposed a system's flaws. His grace showed true strength. His presence proved. History doesn't need shouts. The work continues. If William's story moved you, sadness, anger, hope, let it grow. Start talks, challenge unfairness, question biases, support protective policies, see people fully. If this story matters, make it matter. Like this video, it signals these stories deserve space. Share it with someone needing grace under pressure. Subscribe for truth, told for change, not clicks. This isn't content, it's connection. This isn't just William's story, it's ours.